The return of Bo Bergdahl putting new focus on President Obama's foreign policy and how he carries it out. Many have asked, what makes up the Obama Doctrine? What is his overall guiding foreign policy principle? It turns out it may not be so complicated after all, according to this article that just came out from Politico, where they say, quote, for those pining for an Obama Doctrine victory for the president, here it is. Quote, don't do stupid S blank blank T. Okay, you can fill in the blank. You get the point. Joining me now to talk about this is Katie Pavlich, news editor at townhall.com, and Stephen Sigmund, former communications director for New Jersey Governor John Corzine. Welcome to both of you. Okay, it kind of reminded me of, you know, it's the economy, stupid. And what they're saying is this is the sort of inside the White House banter, that this is their credo. Don't do stupid. You know, like, be careful out there. Don't make errors. That's the way. Keep your head down and just don't mess anything up, is the credo, apparently, according to this article. Katie, what do you think?
Well, I think if that's the White House response to what is the Obama Doctrine, it just further proves that they don't really have one, and reiterates the point that President Obama's foreign policy has been chaotic. And that's not Republicans and conservatives saying that. That's people at the Washington Post and the New York Times. We had his speech last week at West Point, a lot of people that did not go well with. And we've seen that President Obama, if his doctrine is not to do stupid things, I would argue that they've done a lot of stupid things, going back to calling for Israel to go back to the 1967 border, alienating our allies while supporting people like the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, going into Libya and not having an exit plan, therefore creating a vacuum of power for al-Qaeda to come in and develop even more power there. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and we've seen President Obama kind of take a step back and lead from behind, and we've seen that recently with both Syria and Russia, and it's not playing out well for the rest of the world. And I think it's fair to say that since President Obama came into office, the world is a more chaotic and dangerous place with the wrong people gaining more power.
Yeah, I don't think this is the message that they wanted to get out at this moment, Stephen, because when you look at, you know, the sit down with Hillary Clinton, you look at Jen Psaki saying, you know, the president has done a lot of things that he doesn't get enough credit for in foreign policy. We think he's done an excellent job, she said, and there were actually chuckles from reporters in the crowd when she said that. They're reworking how this whole thing is perceived as a legacy issue, it appears.
Yeah, look, I think if there's a doctrine that was inelegantly stated, but if it's a doctrine that says use good judgment on a case-by-case basis in a complicated, and Katie's right, a chaotic world, it's hardly a world that's gotten chaotic under President Obama. It's a world that was incredibly chaotic when he came into office, not least of which because of the billions and trillions of dollars we were spending on wars that weren't working in Iraq and Afghanistan. So, look, he's been showing good judgment on a case-by-case basis, and I would argue that he came into office with 3 foreign policy promises. Get us out of those wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and aggressively prosecute al-Qaeda, and he's done all 3 of those things.
But the question remains,
and the Republican doctrine seems to just be attack the president reflexively at every turn.
But the president is the person in charge. I mean, he's the one who sets foreign policy, and I do think it's a legitimate question to be raised in terms of what his foreign policy is and where the victories are. Where are the pluses? Where are the stories that you make a list of at the end of this this administration and you point to?
I just stated 3 of them.
Well, yes,
victories on al-Qaeda, Afghanistan, and Iraq.
You can say them. It doesn't make them
hold
true.
On. Of course it makes it. Of course it makes it true. We're not in Iraq and Afghanistan, which is exactly what he was trying to say.
Libya. Hold on. Libya. When you look at the situation on the ground in Iraq and potentially in Afghanistan, Stephen.
If I could answer the question.
You did.
I didn't. In Libya, we've gotten rid of Muammar Gaddafi after 42 years.
And replaced him with al-Qaeda.
Hold on. Iran has a 6-month nuclear freeze, a successful nuclear freeze. In Russia and Ukraine, which is incredibly dangerous and complicated, we used economic power to back them off the Eastern Front. So there are a significant list of foreign policy successes, and Republicans' foreign policy successes in the last 5 years is just attacking the president.
They're not in charge of foreign policy right now.
Of course they're in charge of the checks and balances.
I definitely let you have your say. So let's hear from Katie, and we'll come back to you.
This is not the Republicans saying this. This is people at the New York Times editorial board. This is the Washington Post saying this. This is not Republicans, and let's not go back to the typical let's blame Bush argument. Let's talk about the Obama Doctrine. He has been in office for 6 years now. If you want to talk about the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, let's talk about the costs of President Obama and his smart decisions that you think he's making. Under Barack Obama, since 2009, 72% of troop casualties in Afghanistan have happened under his watch based on decisions he's made for rules of engagement. Those are decisions that he's made at a terrible cost. The world is not a safer place, and he hasn't had a success when it comes to al-Qaeda. We've seen al-Qaeda expand its roots not only in the Middle East, but around the world, and more specifically in Africa. And so to say that al-Qaeda is on the run, which was a lie that the president used to get reelected, is just not true.
So you're accusing the president of lying,
where you have the expansion of al-Qaeda under his watch. That's a victory?
There's not an expansion of al-Qaeda under his watch.
No, that's not true.
Osama bin Laden was killed. The leadership of al-Qaeda has been killed and decimated. What you're talking about are regional versions that have popped up around the world, okay?
That's semantics.
Katie arguing that the President of the United States is lying on prosecuting a war on terrorism is really quite outrageous, and it demonstrates what the Republican doctrine is, which is just attack the president, not make a safer world.
Right. No, it's about talking about the fact that al-Qaeda is not on the run, and we've seen attacks on the United States
all through northern
in
Africa.
Benghazi
The president talked about
President
himself just
Obama promised they were gone. Exactly.
Yeah. No, the president talked about all of the problems in northern Africa with al-Qaeda and al-Qaeda linked groups, and you can draw that line as finely as you want, Stephen, but it doesn't make the world any safer. There's a lot of questions.
I'm not arguing the world is a safe place. I'm arguing that the president is dealing with a very complicated and unsafe world and needs the Congress's help, not their attacks.
All right. Stephen, thank you very much. Katie, thanks to you as well.
Thanks.